Hi, well, my name is Lisa Francoeur, Francoeur, for all my Haitians out there. But before I was Haitian, I was Ghanaian, and I have to acknowledge my African ancestry, but we could talk about that
Yes.
another time. Uh, a little bit about me. I have been in the tech industry for over a decade now. I primarily sold software from or for startups that specialized in search engine optimization to Fortune 100s, including LinkedIn. And from there, I went on to head up partnerships to ensure that Black and Brown folks were being hired within high tech, within the Airbnbs and Twitters and Facebooks and so forth of the world. And I headed up partnerships. So I was responsible for brokering those partnerships, including with Amazon and so forth. So I say that to say I'm someone who is very much, and I guess this ties back to my Haitian lineage, about driving empowerment, really taking and exercising agency, and for that matter space in places that we are not necessarily represented in,
Mhm.
and least of not in droves. So working on all of that, which is also too why if you look at the Crypto Tutors logo, right, I think that crypto and blockchain is a microcosm of a macrocosm, which is technology.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure at Crypto Tutors that we are highlighting and we are elevating folks like yourself who are in the industry and represent our communities, because there's a tremendous opportunity for us to close the economic gap. You and I were just talking about the mental wellness
Mhm.
associated with having financial stability, and ultimately practices to generate transgenerational wealth. I'm not
Mhm.
interested in the next generation and the next generation. I'm interested in the next 25,000 years.
Yes.
I'll pause there because that was already a lot.
No, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Everything that you're saying, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. It aligns perfectly with the reasons why BWBC was created as well, you know? And so I was really happy to see that someone like me is on the other side and, promoting awareness with crypto, because like you mentioned, this is an opportunity for us to create wealth. And we all know about the wealth gap, and it's something that's been an issue within our community. And, with this technology, we're seeing a lot of wealth being made, and it's important for our people to be involved in this initiation of wealth building, as we go forward. So I do have a few questions. So the first one is, how or why did you get into blockchain?
That's a really good question. And to be honest, I wish I could say that it was calculated. It really wasn't. I fell into the crypto blockchain world, and it came from the conversations that I was having with, folks that I have a great deal of admiration, respect, and affinity for. And, my best friend, namely, she brought it to my attention, and she did so in a very subtle way. She said, because I have a company called Fancyfied, which is all about scaling empowerment globally. And she knows, as a result of me having that vision, any opportunity I get to talk about how to actualize my vision of scaling empowerment globally, financial empowerment is one of the practical applications of scaling empowerment globally. She knows and understands that about me, and so she introduced me to our other co-founder. She's now my business partner. Shout out to Nina. My other business partner, co-founder, who's Moeti Nubi, and he is a Zimbabwe American, and he is someone who has experienced hyperinflation and someone who decided to study money.
Mhm.
And he has been in the crypto blockchain world since its inception. And he's very much about empowerment of the African and diasporan community. And so she connected us. And when we got to talking about what does empowerment look like for each of us, and he started to dive into, crypto and blockchain, it was like the emoji that's like, my freaking head was blowing up, because I was like, oh, snap, say less.
Yes.
And, I'm absorbing all this information. And the truth is, in absorbing the information, was very intimidated to act on
Mhm.
that information. And so I was fortunate enough to have, folks literally hold my hand. And as we started to go through the process of, investing in crypto, it dawned on us, well, imagine if we were to codify this experience, codify these learnings. And that was the genesis of crypto tutors. So, I have been, I'm new to this space. I've been in it less than a year, but what I found is it's a very enriching experience because, it's like a rabbit hole. The more you like, the deeper,
Yes.
you're like every day it gets deeper and deeper. But I personally love to learn and I love to teach. And so as I'm learning, I'm teaching, and I'm sure we'll get more into that today. But that, I've become a crypto tutor. I've been tutored in crypto. And so it's sort of like this beautiful virtuous cycle.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And it's refreshing to hear that another female, introduced you to blockchain. Because oftentimes it's the guys that are doing it. And like earlier on, they were the demographics that latched onto it. So what and building on that, what do you think besides having the people around you who basically were able to educate you, what do you think will get other Black women to get into it if they don't have friends who are around them, but they're hearing about it? What do you think will finally make them interested?
I'll tell you this. I think that, it sounds super cliche, but like your network is your net
Mhm,
worth,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And it's so important to be in communities where the conversations revolve around wellness.
Mm,
And I think that the more women that look like us that are being given a platform and that are socializing conversations around how blockchain can be utilized to make our lives easier. I think that the technology, and when we get into the technical aspects of it, is very intimidating, and that in and of itself causes people to tune out,
mhm.
especially our folks, which again, going back to my analogy of or my likening of blockchain and crypto being a microcosm of a macrocosm. Well, that macrocosm is technology, and we
Yeah.
are not nearly as present in the
Mhm.
space. So I say all of that to say, I really commend you for having these conversations. And when you see the crypto tutors queen, for example, the crypto tutors logo, for example, we call her crypto queen. She's
She's
a
the
Black woman.
queen.
The queen, right? So she's a Black woman, and
Mhm.
that's a part of, from our perspective, how we are contributing to want to invite
Yes.
our people to the conversation, and
Mhm.
not necessarily, we're educators, we're not advisors, we're not pushing people to invest, but we're saying, look, there's a seat at the table for you.
Yes.
Come listen, come learn, come build, because our community is so beautiful. Like,
Yes.
the when you're in this world, it's so easy to reach out to someone and be like, hey, can we chat? And I feel
Mhm.
like that in and of itself is such a beautiful experience that I hope, more women that look like us are able to experience firsthand themselves, because we want to see you up in this space.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Need
We
you.
have our own village going on here, and it takes a village to raise a village. And that's what we're trying to do. And I love Miss Queen behind you over there. No, representation is important, and also being able to create the narrative, right? You've been in tech, I've been in tech, and we've heard and grew up around people who've said there's not enough Black people in tech, right? And it's not because we weren't interested. There was gatekeepers at times, right? So the wealth that was built in Silicon Valley didn't trickle down to our community because there was limitations there. And so now our whole intent, and I totally love everything that you said, is to make sure that there's more of us in this space. And the more we talk about it, the more we educate people, the more cryptos they can purchase. So tell me about, if someone is interested in crypto tutors, tell me about how, like what can they expect?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, I'm going to lead with our mission. And our mission is to simplify cryptocurrency through e-learning, one-on-one tutoring, and edutainment.
Okay.
And yeah, edutainment being a hybrid of education and entertainment. And so, what that looks like is we produce a show called the Crypto Couch, which is
Okay.
very much like the Breakfast Club style format. It's a talk show. And like I interview subject matter experts that look like you and I interview subject matter experts from, diverse communities. And, in these conversations, we're doing a number of things, but namely humanizing crypto and blockchain. We're putting a face, a black and brown face, a female face,
Yes.
so folks can identify with, again, right, that ability to relate to someone and be like, yo, I can see myself in that person. On the Crypto Couch, we're wanting to bring those concepts to life. And I'll also say that, in interviewing these subject matter experts, I personally hope that, people, again, within our communities are motivated to learn more because they see that, oh, okay, if Casimir or if Miles or Stefan, are in this space, then maybe there's an opportunity for me to get involved and I can follow their journeys. And so again, building that connective tissue, right? And again, going back to the notion of humanizing blockchain and crypto. Speaking of which, our most recent Crypto Couch interview is with the CEO and president of the Caribbean Blockchain Alliance.
Yes.
So definitely have your viewers tune into that. That's going to be super dope, especially in the vein of talking about blockchain. And then we produce original music. This is also key too. Yeah, I'm a crypto rapper, straight up. Yeah.
Yeah, I read that in your bio. Now, are you going to put that on NFT?
Okay, so you know what though? Oh, gosh,
that might be a deeper conversation. I'm going to have you back and have you talk more about that.
let me tell you this though. I just wrote a rap about, it's called NFTs royalties.
See, there we go.
Yes. And I'm just like, I just have to like read you the hook. Like I have to like say the hook to you because I know you'll know what I'm talking about. So it's like NFTs be royalties in perpetuity because artists get paid on the market that be secondary. And to think that the revolution kicked off with them crypto kitties blows my mind all the time. But it is what it is and it be what it be.
Okay. I love it. Yes,
so,
yes. And those who are in the space got everyme
they
understood everything.
Exactly.
I caught everything. Awesome. Good for you. So you are a true rapper. Okay, excuse me.
Evidently, I sort of stumbled upon it. I mean, I always wrote poetry, but my other business partner, she's very much about like, how do you enroll people and talk their language. And she has a viral video marketing company. And she was like, we do original music. So let's start doing original music. I was like,
Nice. All right. My last question is, how do you see blockchain improving the Black community / African diaspora?
Well, let's talk a little bit about, the nature of blockchain, right? So we have a global distributed network of computers that are, validating transactions, and the advantages of blockchain, greater transparency, increased efficiency, better security, improved traceability. And I want to highlight a use case that had blockchain been involved, we probably wouldn't have seen such a gross misappropriation of funds. So I mentioned that I'm Haitian, and in 2010 there was an earthquake that devastated Haiti. And interestingly enough, out of the kindness of folks across this country here in the US, there was about $500 million donated. And it was one of the most successful fundraising efforts ever, which is so admirable and so amazing. And on a personal level, to know that, people open up their hearts and their wallets to support, my people. But it was, a tremendous misappropriation of funds. There were a number of like, dubious practices. No one could trace, where the funds and how the funds were deployed on account of, when you looked at what ended up happening, like there wasn't really much infrastructure built. It was super shady, suffice it to say, right? We'll keep it simple. But I say that to say, when we think about, blockchain, and as I mentioned when I spoke about the advantages, the fact that transparency, the fact that security, traceability, it can help deter a lot of that, a lot of those nefarious practices. And so, again, right, I want to be very thoughtful in why it's so important for more Black people to get involved in this space and to understand the space. So I gave you an example. Had blockchain been utilized, we probably wouldn't have seen that much money being lost. We don't know what happened to it. We don't know where it went. So there's that. Secondly, when we think about, the use cases, one of the most popular use cases with blockchain, right? Like you have remittance being an issue. So when you send money to Haiti, when you send money even across the country here in the US.
Nigeria, yeah.
Okay, I was Nigerian too. Okay, let me say, yes. I'm mostly Ghanaian, but I got Nigerian in me.
Okay.
Anyway, Nigerian sister, Niger sister.
Yes.
So, again, with respect to remittances, that you're Nigerian, I'm Haitian, all over the world, people send money back to their families. And it was something like in 2016, there was almost there was almost $500 billion. It was $442 billion that was sent to the developing world. And with that, there's a huge portion of those funds being cannibalized on account of the institutions that are, transferring this money. And it's like, the people that need it the most are not able to get it on, or are not able to get all of what they deserve. So part of my long-winded response, but I say that to say, that's something that can be alleviated with blockchain. The transaction fees become negligible. Yeah. So you've got remittance. There's the remittance aspect. And then another thing that I'll add is, when we think about the fraudulent activities, when it comes to, money laundering and transferring of funds and funds just magically disappearing. Again, that traceability, being able to track it, presents a really great opportunity for the Black community and the diasporan community, because microfinancing is something that we now no longer have to play within the constructs of a system that is inherently racist, right? Yes. Like when it comes to funding, like I read a stat, this is so aggravating, but I read a stat on Fundera, I think it was, and it was like, let me look at my notes. It was like, Black owned businesses, especially during COVID, 58% of Black businesses said that their business's financial health is at risk. And when you hear that, and that on top of the pandemic, when it comes to financing and it comes to, the rates of loans and that being higher. These are examples of systematic racism. So moral of the story is that blockchain also presents an opportunity to facilitate microfinancing, where we can, in writing smart contracts, which I don't know how technical you want to go, but in writing, smart contracts where we can offer each other the ability to borrow funds and opt out of a system that wasn't necessarily built to empower us. So that's one thing I'll leave your audience with, because I know we got to wrap up, but create your own economy. If you can create your own economy, the question is, why would you not? And that's the conversation that we're having, and we invite you to have it with us.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Last thing, give us your social media.
Oh, okay. I will. So Crypto Tutors, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, every social handle, it's Crypto Tutors. There might be a slight variation, like crypto_tutors, I think is Twitter. You can also follow me. I'm Fancyfied, FANCYFIED, and everything. I own that. We could talk about intellectual property as well, because that's something that could be embedded in the blockchain.
Yes.
Yeah, super important. CryptoTutors.com. Our YouTube channel is where a lot of our free content is, and we invite you, folks to take a look at that, because it will help you start to get your bearings in the space, and you'll do so with people like me.